Right now, the price of Bitcoin is redder than my skin after spending a little too long in the sun over the weekend. And in fact, is it all ogre? As you see on the chart here, Bitcoin is now falling below 110,000 US dollars roughly. Should we be panicking? Should we be crying and squealing like a little baby who hasn't had his formula or like his milk? Or in fact, is this not even that bad? Right now, Bitcoin's fear and greed index is reading fear, nearly. We're nearly back into the fear zone. 24 hours ago, people were euphoric. 12 hours ago, people were starting to get a little scared because the price started going down a little bit. And now that Bitcoin is down 4%, I kid you not, this has quite literally never happened for Bitcoin before. I'm starting to actually feel like, it may all be ogre. Now that Bitcoin is down a couple of percent, I'm going to change my opinions about everything I thought I knew and start panicking instead. Just kidding. But also, right now, there's two types of people. People that are crying and squealing like little babies because the price is down 4%. Or the people that are millionaires or future millionaires that are just looking at this opportunity to scoop some cheap entries. In fact, actually, that's what I've been doing for the past hour or so. I was kind of looking, I set some limit orders, and I'm getting ready to scoop some more coin. Particularly also some altcoins, considering that Bitcoin's down a couple percent. Alts are down 2 or 3 times as much as Bitcoin roughly at this very second. So this is just one of those things. Holy cow, my skin is actually really red. If anyone has any tips to help a sunburn, I actually was rubbing some aloe on my forehead, but I can't even do facial expressions, without it hurting. Even just creasing my forehead burns. But anyway, red skin for a red day, am I right? We also see 3 hours to clean up Bitcoin's daily close on Bitcoin. I'm going to give my prediction in just a minute here. But when Bitcoin whales are shaking out weak hands but can't prove it. In fact, that big dump we did see over the last day or so, there was one very large wallet that holds, tens of thousands of Bitcoin that actually did initiate a big sell over the weekend, over lower liquidity, obviously, as they have more power and more ability to manipulate the markets. Is there manipulation in the market? Yes. Okay, that's one thing that we should talk about for just a second. There always has been and always will be manipulation in every market, right? So if there's people out there screaming like, oh no, this market is manipulated, you're right, but also so is every market that's ever existed. Every market is manipulated. But anyway, after the altcoins got closer than ever to breaching to an all-time high, and Ethereum as well did put in a new all-time high, right? All this excitement. Is it unusual to then actually have, for example, maybe some whales or people that were just hunting some of these longs, late longs, right? Because if you started longing Ethereum down here, and if on leverage and it's up, you're not liquidated most likely unless you use crazy leverage. But if you long Ethereum right here, you probably did get liquidated. That's a late long if you longed too late, right? You want to have some of these positions set up. You don't want to FOMO into longs or FOMO into shorts. In fact, what I'm predicting right now is that there's probably going to be a lot of short positions that are getting created right now, a lot of short positions that are being set up right now that are probably also going to be getting creamed in the next 24 hours. That's how this market works. Now, my prediction is that, and this is something I actually talked about in a few videos ago, considering we're below the 21 and 50 day moving averages. And this is something I've been talking about. I didn't talk about it in the last video, but the 2 or 3 videos before the last video, I talked about this a lot. The 21 week is right here at 107. The 50 week is right here at about 95. And as I said a couple of videos ago for those couple of videos, that I think that we'll wick below 100K, right? I think that's very likely. And again, doesn't matter in the short term. I'm still more bullish than ever, but these shakeouts are expected, right? I don't think I've ever seen an all-time high break or a big trend shift to where we're about to shift into a very bullish momentum, not have some sort of bearish swing first, right? It basically always does. So one, if you're asking the question, oh, well, what happened? Why are we dumping? Why are we dumping? First of all, welcome to crypto. you should just learn to stop asking that question, because it happens all the time. And it's not like there's like some crazy reason where like they just discovered that Bitcoin can't cure AIDS or something, and now the price is dumping because it turns out Bitcoin cannot cure AIDS. No, like there's no crazy reason why it's dumping. It's just how the market moves, right? But I think that coming down to the 21 week is going to be a very interesting spot, considering it's kind of right where we had resistance in April and May, and also specifically back at the very end of 2024, beginning of 2025, a little bit lower than that, but pretty much right around this level. But I personally think that we could very easily see a retest of 100K in a wick at the very least. I don't, or not at the least, but I think that it's likely it could just be a very short-lived wick. So if you want to take advantage of that, you'd already have to have some of your limit orders placed. You're not going to, maybe you won't even have like 24 hours to scoop up something like that. But as we see right here, clearly we're now on our third red weekly candle for Bitcoin. We see that if we actually look at the daily chart, momentum is being rejected on the RSI, and the MACD is curving over as well. Ever pretty much since about 2 weeks ago is when it kind of started curving on the daily. I'm extremely bullish here, but in the short term, that absolutely looks very, very likely. It looks much more likely that this short-term move is going to be to the downside. And as I'm looking at the chart right now, yeah, a lot of alts are actually down pretty significantly. So actually, I kind of want to wrap up this video because I want to also set some more orders to buy some crypto. But at the same time, I personally think that we could go, fairly lower for Bitcoin. And obviously, if Bitcoin goes lower, then altcoins are also going to go lower. The stock market had a red day today, so just following that, the DXY is actually pumping a little bit today. I wouldn't really call this pumping, but it's green. It's up a little bit today. And yeah, as we just highlighted on the weekly chart, we're very close now to this 21-week moving average. Only another 3% dump would get us there. For us to get all the way down to the 50-week, we need another 15% dump or so. That's possible too. Now, this market truly has been shaking out a lot of weak hands, considering every single time we have, for example, these new all-time highs, they're like barely all-time highs, and then they kind of initiate sell-offs. Bitcoin and now Ethereum. Every time this market looks like it's going to break out, there's a little bit of a shakeout. I personally think we are, pretty close to breaking out, but we could very, very, very easily see a much steeper sell-off first before a big bounce. So for example, what that looks like, something we saw back in in spring of 2025 of this year, right? From about 110, we hit these new all-time highs, 110 down to 75K. That's it was about a 30% drawdown. I don't, in my opinion, personally think we're going to get a 30% drawdown, but that would actually look for Bitcoin about like an $85,000, $86,000 Bitcoin. I don't think there's nearly enough evidence or reason for us to be shifting that much into a dump. But realistically, I think that we could easily see a retest of about 100K in the next couple of days. It's possible, right? It could be a very, very quick. And how, is that realistic? Look at these. Whenever you see these dumps, they happen in a very small window of time, very quick candles. So again, if we saw like a candle like this, then yeah, it would happen kind of quickly. Bitcoin dominance as well is still, it's having a little bit of a move to the upside right now, but not very big, right? This is still the maybe third or fourth week that Bitcoin dominance has been in a downtrend. You would expect that to change if we actually initiate a real dump across the market. And we're seeing a little bit of it, right? Dominance is up a little bit, but not very substantially yet. In general, as I just said, I personally think that this is maybe one of the last best altcoin entries before altcoins really start doing well. And that's, evidenced by this chart. Look at this, guys. I know it's been painful. I know a lot of you are done with this market emotionally, right? Emotions should not be how you invest anyway, but I know a lot of you are emotionally dead at this point, and I get it. It makes sense. Look at this. We are just now, though, because you have to look at this objectively, take your emotions out, we are just now ready. We're right there to break new all-time highs. This is back in 2021. We are right there. This is not when you want to capitulate. Do I think many people will? No, I don't think so. Maybe some of you watching this might be capitulating. Maybe some of you are capitulating. I don't know. But this market is not supposed to be easy to sit through, right? If you think, and I've said this before, right? If you think you can just walk into crypto, put some money in, and walk out a millionaire after a year or something, you can do that. Like, it's possible, but it's not the most likely scenario. The most likely scenario is 99, well, not 99, but like over 90% of people end up getting shaken out. And then even if you are one of those lucky people that manages to just stick through it all and you end up with a very large portfolio, you still have to, battle the risk that you might end up not taking profit and might end up losing a lot of those gains. So this is the game we play. And actually, so far these dumps are like not that big even. I've seen, if you've been in this market for a couple of cycles, obviously you've seen way worse. But in terms of the psychological torture that I think some people are going through, that's realistic, that's real, that's valid. Because this market has been very, again, especially for altcoins, has been very bad. Basically, if I would have to sum up this bull run for altcoins so far, it has been by far the worst altcoin bull run I think I've ever witnessed. Clearly, I think that's going to change. And as I keep trying to highlight, this is the chart I'm looking to evidence that I think that's happening very soon, the entire altcoin chart. But be on your toes, because we could see this Bitcoin dump accelerate, and you bet your sweet butt, your sweet bottom, that if Bitcoin dumps here, altcoins are going to get absolutely diddled. Big time. Altcoins are not going to pump 20% if Bitcoin drops to 100K right now, right? We're still in this weird limbo period where, well, one, yeah, the manipulation is rampant right now. It's a little bit more manipulated at these very moments because, again, we're right on the cusp of like these new all-time high breaks, and people are finally maybe starting to have the first hints of maybe getting excited about this market. And some of the market makers or some of the whales are taking advantage of that, I'm sure, right? I mean, actually, that's what the evidence is showing. Some of the on-chain data is that, like, yeah, like there are big dumps being placed. But also keep in mind, we have some very ancient sell walls that are here at some of these levels, and especially for something like ETH, right, where we just got up to these like previous all-time highs. There's a lot of people that were, they had some positions from even back in 2021 and some targets from like years ago too. So really to summarize all of this, fear and greed. Yeah, we're back to like fear already. Are you one of these people that's scared and crying, or are you using this as an opportunity to buy and find new entries? We have a little bit. I want to see how this daily closes. And yeah, obviously there's manipulation. There's manipulation in every market. Absolutely. And those are the two big targets to look for. I think 100K, again, I would kind of like to see. Well, that's the thing too. We have Bitcoin. This is 100. Let me put a little a line right here where 100K is. Again, right, we had this was resistance here, and then it was support. Actually, the last time we were here, it was actually we got above it and we actually held it as support and it went up. So it's also very realistic. We actually don't come down even to 100K. The 21 week, as I said, is right at about 107, 108. This could be the bottom here. I just tend to think actually that we will go a little bit lower than where we currently are in this downside move. But ultimately, another thing that you have to remember is that we could fast forward literally just like 2 days from now, and ETH could be at new all-time highs. Bitcoin could be back at 115, 120,000. And people would just, they could easily forget that this even happened. And that type of switching back and forth between bullish and bearish, scared and excited, that's exactly how this market always operates anyway, especially when we're so close to like new all-time highs for certain assets like Ethereum. Bitcoin is also, at this very second, what would it take for Bitcoin to get back to all-time highs? A 13% pump. So, that's not, we could be back there in a day or two also. I don't think we will for Bitcoin specifically right now, but these type of moves are not abnormal. In fact, they're quite literally normal. And yeah, absolutely. But if you want to buy altcoins or buy Bitcoin, sign up with any of the exchanges in the description below. Without further ado,